I'm Dr. Ryan DeBell from The Move It Fix. This is Move It Fix Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. What I want to talk to you about in this video is an ankle mobility drill that you can use for squatting, for prep, working on your ankles overall. But I do have my foot and ankle model that I just got. So I'm going to show you on the model the idea behind this mobility drill, how to use it, and then you can incorporate it into your programming as needed. So here's what we're looking at. When people say, oh, you need ankle mobility, what they're talking about, if you can see the foot here, is this motion right here. And a lot of mobility drills are targeted at this joint that my finger's at. So when we use bands to mobilize, a lot of times people will put the band around their foot. It sort of goes like this, and it supposedly pulls the talus backwards as the tibia sort of rolls over top of it. But if you could do a drill where you sort of gap or separate the surfaces of the ankle joint while you roll your ankle through, that may be a more effective drill. So there's a way to do this. A lot of people have seen the drill, as I just kind of described with my finger. They'll take a band and they'll put it around their foot, and then they'll step on this, or they'll wrap it around an upright, and then they'll kind of do this. And that's okay, and for some people that's very effective. But what you're essentially doing is, if you took your foot and ankle and you put it here, you're sort of going like this as you try to do that. But one of the problems with this mobility drill is people will put the band up here. And so they think that they're pulling this bone backwards to mobilize it, but they're actually just pulling above the ankle joint itself and really probably not doing so much. So if you were to look at what I just showed, that sort of error, essentially it'd be up here like that. Because to actually be on that bone that's below the shin, you have to be a little bit farther down on the foot. But that won't gap or separate the joint. If you could add, imagine you could do this. Imagine you could take the band and pull down this way as you sort of rolled over, because that's going to help pull the joint surface apart, and then you could sort of roll, and that will give a lot of people better range of motion right away that they can then use in a squat. So if you elevate your foot onto a stack of plates or that type of a thing, and you were to put the band here, you can essentially introduce this sort of downward vector or line of pull of the band so that it helps to gap the joint, and then you sort of think about rolling over the top of it. So, and again, we want to make sure that we're not up here on the shin, because then you're not really doing what you think you're doing. So you have to be lower than you think. Maybe on where the knot of the shoe is, or a little bit below the knot of the shoe. So if you're going to do this, you can set it up like this. Put your foot against the stack of plates, take this and put it again over the knot of the shoe, cross it about 6 inches behind your heel, step on where it's crossed over, bring your foot up here, and you can see that there's sort of this downward vector or line of drive on the band, and then I take my arm here and I sort of put it on a riser, or if I'm holding a dowel, that type of thing, and I'll gently rock forward and backwards. And one of the things that I'm thinking about doing is putting the majority of my weight in this leg and in this arm, because I don't want there to be a lot of load going through this ankle, or I'm not really going to separate the joint as much as I potentially could while I do this. So I'm just going to go 10 or 15 reps back and forth. The pressure on the band is actually really light. There's not a ton on there. So don't go cranking away as hard as you can. Just do as much as needed, as much as necessary, but as little as possible. And then see how your ankles feel. Then you could go into some squatting, and that's how you could start to integrate some of this stuff. So next time you're working on your ankles, there's a mobility drill to try. Make sure you don't put the band too high up. Find the knot of your shoe, go just below it. I don't like doing banded mobility drills like this right on the skin, because there's nerves that are very close to the skin on the front of the ankle. You don't want to aggravate those. So that's what I got for you guys this week on Move It Fix Monday. If you don't already follow us on Facebook, make sure to go to facebook.com/The Move It Fix. You could also follow me on Instagram at The Move It Fix. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube so you get all the videos directed right to you. And if you want to be on our mailing list so you get everything mailed directly to you, go to themoveitfix.com/30, and you'll get our 30-page guide as well as the emails every week. So I'll see you guys next week.